How are you doing, ladies and gentlemen? I am America's real anchorman, doctor of democracy and America's truth detector, Rush Limbaugh here, where we constantly battle the left. You ever have trouble figuring out what we do here? Always fall back to that. It's all about doing battle with the left every day. It is a battle that will never end. The left is never going to go away. Let me illustrate it for you. How many of you still are under the belief, still hold the belief, that big business is populated by a bunch of right-wing conservative free market guys who don't like big government and want it out of the way of their business? 30 years ago, that might have been true. 25 years ago, it might have been true. But I would say 15 years ago, it began to change, maybe 20. And certainly 8, 9 years ago, it ceased being true. Something replaced it. Big-time CEOs became either crony socialists or full-fledged, out-and-out leftists. The left has infiltrated much of our culture. They own, for example, Hollywood. Now, stick with me on this. You say, I've heard this before. Stick with me. We always offer new perspectives here. You think you've heard it before, but if you listen carefully, you'll realize there's always something new. The left owns pop culture. And in a sense, this might help you to understand why they're so mad. If I were in their shoes, I'd be livid. Look at everything they own. They own Hollywood. Isn't it interesting that Hollywood is bombing big time? At least box office Hollywood had one of their worst summers of all time. They own the music business. And the music business is undergoing major upheaval. From purchasing music to renting it via streaming. They own the publishing businesses. And by the way, do not discount the influence of the Harry Potter books on turning young millennials into little snowflakes who believe all they have to do is grow up and they will magically acquire whatever they want. They own the media. They own large swaths of the judiciary, meaning a whole lot of federal judges out there are dyed-in-the-wool liberal activists before they are even judges. They own a lot of the corporate boardrooms now. The left is, and yet they still couldn't beat Donald Trump. As successfully as they have infiltrated the fabric of American culture, they still couldn't find a way. With African Americans, with transgenders, with homosexuals, with women, the feminazis, all of the left-wing special interest groups, combined with the ownership of education, pop culture, books, movies, TV, the media, they still couldn't come up with enough votes to put Hillary Clinton's butt over the finish line. Donald Trump still won. Hatred beginning on election night, and it has done nothing but intensify. It's done nothing but become more raw and more vicious. There's nothing out there to ameliorate the hatred because they can't even win midterm special elections. The Trump travel ban, all the things that they thought they were going to defeat, Trump continues in the real world to triumph. There is great news associated with the Trump presidency, but you will never hear it because it is being squelched and covered over and ignored by the drive-by media. The economic news, the new business growth, any number of things, the trade deals, the regulations, any number of things that are dramatic improvements over the last 8 years are not being reported, are in fact being ignored. And instead, what are you getting? You are getting a daily diet in the news of one thing. If you didn't know any better and you watch the news every day, you would conclude the United States of America hates Donald Trump. You would think that some kind of chicanery, tomfoolery, or cheating resulted in him being elected because everybody hates Donald Trump. They're protesting Trump on campus. They're protesting Trump in Charlottesville. They're protesting Trump in Ferguson. They're protesting Trump in Baltimore. They're protesting Trump in Chicago. They're killing people over Trump in Chicago. They're whatever is going wrong. Everybody's doing it because they hate Trump. That's the news. Of course, there is no news. That's the daily soap opera. Everybody hates Trump. You are supposed to hate Trump. If you voted for Trump, you're a fool and you're an idiot and you're probably a Nazi or you're a Nazi sympathizer or you're a Klansman or a Klan sympathizer and you are a white supremacist. That's the news because that's who elected Trump. They can't get over the fact that they lost with everything they control. They think they should run everything simply because they control the media. The media alone, in their world, in their view, means they should dominate everything else. And they have not been able to come to grips with the fact that they lost. So they've had all these excuses, Russia collusion. This, since this past weekend, is just the latest iteration of the community organizing. These protesters are no different than the protesters that met Trump's inauguration. Remember those feminazis wearing the vagina hats? And then when the Trump travel ban came, magically millions of people materialized at American airports, supposedly spontaneously, to oppose the bigotry and racism of Donald Trump. This is all the news has been since last November. And, of course, after Trump was inaugurated, it's been intensified. This is it. And they still can't get the guy out of there. They still can't prevail. Now they're succeeding in getting some of the conservative intelligentsia to join them in denouncing Trump. And now the Trump Business Council executives are leaving in huffery and puffery. And are they being treated royally by the drive-bys? And so Trump is being portrayed as further and further isolated. The media is demanding that he get rid of all of his inner circle advisors who are also members of the Klan, secret Nazis, and white supremacists. What you're supposed to end up asking after all of this at some point in time is, how did this guy ever get elected? And you who voted for Trump, in the sense that you're being targeted by all this, the effort is to get you to renounce Trump as well. To get you to, I voted for Donald Trump, but boy, I didn't know Nazis are going to be part. I can't handle. That's what they want to hear from you. And so they start out in hysterics, and with every effort to get rid of Trump, the hysteria intensifies because they fail. They haven't gotten rid of Trump because of Russia, so now they're relying on Mueller and whatever he's doing to get rid of Trump. I have no doubt that an actual coup is being talked about somewhere by somebody. I have no doubt about this. No, I don't know who, and but look, I know people. I know human nature. I know what's going on. You do it in your own. Let's say you work someplace where you think your boss or the CEO or your manager or whatever is just off his rocker. How many of you over the course of your life have had a meeting with fellow coworkers to plot a strategy? Figure, what are we going to do about this? This happens. I'm just telling you, at the upper levels of government, it does too. Now, I don't know who the players are, but I can tell you that you probably see a number of them on television every night, or at least once a week, and they're probably meeting with each other, discussing how we can get rid of this guy. And they're doing it on the basis, this guy's insane. This guy's a lunatic. This guy's going to get killed. This guy should have never been elected. Oh, my God. In addition to saving the establishment and all this, they can't believe what's happened here. They've thrown everything they've got, and he's still there, and he's still being who he is. He is not capitulating to them. He is not asking for forgiveness. He is not asking for them to be understanding. He is just firing right back at them, yet still between the eyes, as evidenced by the press conference yesterday.